Okay, by the end of the last video we had set up an assignment in the whole Doctopus environment, and we distributed this particular file, or a particular file, to these students. Now first let's take a look. These are links to the student copies of the file. So if I click on this, this is going to be user 2017's copy of the file, and if I went through and I clicked on these other links, I would get them for the different students. Let's take a look at this from the student's perspective. So if I flip over, I'm actually going to go to Firefox. If I look in the student's folder, this is that student. If I look in their folder, I see a folder for Classroom, but that has to do with Google Classroom, so I don't really see the file here. So let's check the inbox, the Gmail box of this, and there's nothing here. And the reason is that we failed to send them an email. So if I come back to my teacher view, during that process, I probably should have left that send email box checked. It would have made things a little easier. However, if you don't, you should know that there is a link for each file here. So if I didn't send that, or they didn't get it, or somehow they delete it, you can always copy this link, and this is the link for user 2017, and that's what I'm logged in as in my Google. I'm logged into Google Drive over here, and to same Gmail. But if I just paste it, that will open up the file, and it will open up their copy. See, it says 2017 user. So this is their particular copy. So what this illustrates is that when you create this, all of the documents exist in your space. So these exist, if I were to look at this address a little closer, they exist in my folder. They do not exist at all in the student folder. It's simply shared with them. Now it's a little different if we were using the Google Classroom mode, which we will look at later. But for now, just know that the document exists in your space, but they just have full edit privileges to it. So let's go back to that student view. And I'll put a title on here. I told them to put a proper header on there and a title, so they'll start typing. Okay, of course, saving. This is a Google Doc, and maybe you've added a comment, or maybe they're just going to add a comment up here. Okay, one more time. There it is. Okay, so we wait till it finishes saving, and then as a user I can close it. Let's come back to the teacher view. So here I am as a teacher, and what options do I have? Well, this is nice. I mean, I could always just click on here and go in and see what they've done. Let's take a look at that. Now again, I'm in my account, and there I see the writing that they've done, and in a second or so I'll see their comment pop up. But there is more, and to get to more, I'm going to go back to the add-on Doctopus and open the assignment tool panel. It'll take just a second. And there are different things that I can do here. One thing I want to do is, as people complete this work, or as everyone's completed it, or along the way, as certain students have completed it, I can refresh edits and counts. You can see that's going to add extra fields. Okay, and now I'm getting some additional information. I'm getting this, there's one revision by the student. We saw that. I went in and I added some information. There's one student comment. Additional information includes the possibility of teacher comments, peer comments, resolved comments, files that have been uploaded and or commented on, etc. So there's different things that it will keep count of. Let me come and open this from the administrator side. Okay, and I can see that they've made a comment, so I'm going to reply to it. And I reply, if I come back and refresh that again, what I should see is that this information is updated, and it is. Okay, also if a new user joins the class here, refreshing and updating should add them, give them the assignment, create their copy, and add them in here. A couple of other options you have: embargo docs for grading. So if I click on this, it's basically going to lock temporarily students' access to working on a document. So if a due date has come, and at this point I can change their access essentially. So I can say they can comment on this, fine, but they can't actually make any edits. Or I can say they can only view it. They can't even comment on it at this point. That will be up to me. And then when do I want to run it? And I can give a specific time or date. So that's nice because I can set this up for the due date in advance. I don't have to remember to come in or have access to come in at the time. For right now, I'm just going to do it now. And I'm going to run the embargo. That may take a couple of minutes because it's got to do it to a series of files, different student files. Okay, and at this point, let me close that down for a second. Paste it back in. And now the student is in view only mode, so they can't make any changes to this document at this time. Okay, you can unembargo documents at any point, so you just click the button again. So it's a toggle, it changes the permissions back to the original settings. Okay. And if I go back, I'll now have my full tool set again. Oh, sorry. There we go. I can send a feedback email. Okay, so this is a place where I can send their information again. So if I forgot to send it the first time, I have even more options here. So first name, last name, email, student folder key, which can be important, the file name, the file key itself, a link, which is probably the most important, last edited word count. So there's a lot of things I can send to them now, so I can customize this and send their emails out. Okay, last option you have, or another option you have on this particular screen, is to transfer ownership to students. So if I do this, the file will actually be transferred to the students, but I will lose access to it, and if I want access, I'll be dependent on that student sharing it back with me. So this is probably a feature you won't want to use during your class. It's possible at the end of the year, if you want to give them the documents, you simply transfer all the documents over to the students. So that would be a personal choice as to how you wanted to handle that, but probably not an option you're going to use during the semester or during the period where the class is active. Okay, the last option up here is to attach a rubric. And what a rubric does is it will allow me to make a rubric associated with a student file and to be able to grade that student quickly and easily using a rubric, or a rubric in this case, and that will attach directly, or actually be inserted directly into the bottom of the document. So a great tool. It works only with Doctopus, so you're going to have Doctopus installed. And when we look at the options for doing this through in a Google Classroom environment. It'll be slightly different in the way that you do it, but as far as Gubrick goes, it works exactly the same. So if you're using Google Classroom, it's easier. If you're using Doctopus, as we are demonstrating now, outside of that Google Classroom environment, the attaching and using of a Gubrick is equally as easy. The setup on the Doctopus side is a little more complicated, but the Gubrick itself is very, very easy. So we'll look at that in the next video.